Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Story 1, The Mystery of the Shiny Stones. In the heart of the forest, on the slope of a gentle hill, stood a cozy little house surrounded by dense trees and sunny clearings. This house was built in the shape of a huge stump, inside which lived the friendliest inhabitants of the forest, the Capybara family. Papa Capi and Mama Barra were caring and a bit absent-minded, but always ready to help anyone in trouble. They had 3 wonderful children. The eldest, Bob, is thoughtful and wise. The middle child, Lina, is restless and curious, while the youngest, Tiko, is still a little one, but has big dreams. One clear morning, when the sun's rays barely touched the roof of their little house, Lina ran out to the clearing to warm herself in the sun and play with her friends. But something caught her attention. Right on the grass at the edge of the forest lay shiny stones, shimmering in all the colors of the rainbow.
Mom! Dad! Quickly look!
Lina shouted, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Papa Capi, putting down the newspaper, stepped out onto the porch, and behind him, slowly rubbing her eyes, came Mama Barra.
What? Is it Lina?
Yawned Dad.
It's probably sunlight reflections.
No, Dad, it's something completely different. Look, they seem to be glowing.
Lina ran up to one of the stones and picked it up. The stone was warm to the touch and emitted a soft shimmer as if it were live.
Strange.
Papa Capi took the stone in his paws, squinted, and frowned.
I've never seen anything like this before. Probably came from the river or...
His voice froze and he stared at the stone again.
Wait, these are indeed the little tears of the forest spirit.
Little tears.
Lina asked again.
But why is the spirit crying? Isn't it happy here with us?
The spirit cries when the forest is in danger, replied Mama Bear, sitting down next to her daughter.
We need to find out what is happening. I will go to Uncle Murami. He's the wisest in the forest. He should know.
Lina jumped to her paws, ready to run.
Wait, Lina!
Intervened Bob, the older brother, who appeared in the doorway.
I will go with you. Can't leave you alone. Besides, I also want to understand what's going on.
Tiko, barely standing on his paws, also started to wiggle nearby, pretending that he was ready for adventures. I will go.
No, Tiko. You will stay with Mom, said Mom the sheep firmly. You are still too small for such adventures.
Well, Mom, I'm already big. Tiko whined, but Mom was unyielding. So Lina and Bob set off, holding the found pebble in their paws. Soon they reached a large clearing where Uncle Muram, a majestic old owl who knew all about the secrets of the forest, lived in an old oak. His eyes, like 2 full moons, shone in the shade of the crowns, and upon seeing the capybaras, he gently shook his head.
My favorite capybaras.
He waved his wings, greeting the guests.
What brings you to me at such an early hour?
We found these little stones.
Lina extended a tear of spirit, and the owl immediately frowned, as if it were a sign of trouble.
This is bad, my friends, very bad. Forest spirit is crying because its powers are weakening. Someone or something is disrupting the balance in our forest. We need to go to the source where it dwells and find out the reason for its troubles. But how do we find the source?
Asked Bob.
Follow the shiny stones, they will lead you there.
The owl swung its wing, and a glowing path flared up in the air, leading to the heart of the forest.
But be careful, children. The spirits of the forest can be fickle.
The brother and sister ventured deeper into the forest, following the path. Each step revealed new corners of the forest they had never seen before. Huge, majestic trees with roots resembling paws, sparkling streams where glowing fish swam, and strange shadows flitting behind the bushes, Bob whispered as they saw a huge clearing scattered with the same shiny stones. In the center of the clearing sat a small, fragile spirit of the forest on a large stone. Its silvery body shimmered, and its eyes were sad.
Hello?
Lina said quietly.
We came to help you.
The spirit looked at them, and a tear rolled down his cheek, falling to the ground and turning into another shiny little stone.
You won't be able to help at all, he whispered. The forest is dying. My strength is fading. But why? What happened?
Bob stepped closer.
The river is drying up. The stones have lost their shine. And without the river, draw energy from it. Soon, the whole forest will lose its light and magic.
Then we will find what is blocking the river.
Bob said decisively.
We will find it, and the river will once again fill the forest with its power.
The spirit merely nodded weakly and turned away again. It ran to the river and saw that its bed was blocked by a huge pile of branches and stones. Along with him, other inhabitants of the forest joined the pile. Squirrels, hares, raccoons, all who wanted to help save the forest. Lina and Bob gathered their friends, and with the help of the owl Murama, they cleared the blockage. The water began to flow through the forest again. The shiny stones on the banks shone even brighter, and the forest spirit was filled with life once more.
Thank you, capybaras.
He whispered as the forest filled with light. Thanks to your courage and friendship. The stones became a symbol of the capybara family, a sign that together they can overcome any obstacles. Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Magical Little Bridge over the River of Time. The day after the capybara family restored the forest spirit's strength, life in the forest returned to its usual course. Papa Capi was flipping through his favorite newspaper again, pondering the weather, while Mama Barra was cooking lunch and humming an old capybara song that even the most distracted forest birds began to dance on the branches.
Papa Capybara and the family by the river, the capybaras are basking in the sun. We live together as in a fairy tale. Love and laughter accompany us on every journey. Dad is a hero, though sometimes funny and clumsy, but he is our own. Lina, like the wind, and God is wise. Tiko, a little one, but simply delightful. Wherever we are, even on the bridge of time, we always return to our little house by the ancient tree. With songs, laughter, and good deeds, together we will go through mountains and countries. The capybara friends laugh with them, a duck and a hedgehog and all sorts of animals. In a world of wonders and magical lights, with my friendly family, with my love, the leaves rustle, the breeze sings, and our bright little house calls us again. In the evening the earth dances to songs. The joy of capybaras is in my heart.
However, the calm did not last long. The younger capybara Tiko, who just yesterday begged everyone to take him on adventures, did not waste any time. He loved exploring and this time stumbled upon something amazing.
Bob! Lina! Dad!
Mom! His voice echoed throughout the house. You won't believe what I found. All the family members gathered in the clearing behind the house. Before them, in the air, sparkling with golden sparks, hung an elegant bridge woven from light and aromas. Every time one of them took a step closer, a soft and light scent of chocolate and oranges filled the air.
What an amazing little bridge,
muttered Capi's dad, raising his paw and cautiously feeling the glowing railing.
It smells chocolate.
I knew it!
Tiko said proudly, drinking deeply.
This is the little bridge that leads...
He hesitated.
By the way, where does it lead?
Found it, but doesn't know where to...
Lina rolled her eyes, but couldn't help smiling.
Dad, it's safe, right?
Papa Capi scratched his head and took a deep breath.
Well, at least it smells good.
He smirked.
So I think nothing bad will happen to us if we just watch.
Uh-huh. We'll watch and walk a little, Bob added, already ready to get on the bridge.
Anyway, we are curious, aren't we?
Everyone agreed, exchanging glances. Thus began their new adventure. As soon as the capybara family's paws touched the bridge, it softly glowed and slightly bounced under their weight, as if welcoming them. Lina joyfully jumped, squealing in surprise.
Wow! So bouncy, like a trampoline. Be careful, or you'll fly straight to the moon.
Bob reflected. Although you would like it there, you would be the first capybara on the moon, But you would be the first capybara scared of the smell of oranges, Lina replied, flicking her brother on the nose.
Everyone laughed and the bridge shone even brighter in response. As they moved, the landscape changed around them. With one step, they found themselves amidst lush greenery, as if they had returned to summer. With another step, they were on a snowy glade, and with the third, they were in an autumn forest where leaves fell from the trees in golden spirals.
Is this a seasonal bridge?
Lina winked, draping a golden leaf over herself like a cloak. No, this is a bridge of time. A familiar voice rang out. Uncle Muram appeared, sitting on the curve of the bridge as if he had always been there.
And you? Are you not wasting time, as I can see?
Dad Capi joked. Well, you know, on the bridge of time, I am always in my element. The owl shook his head, flapping his wings, and a cloud of golden dust scattered around him. This little bridge is a road to your past, dear capybaras. But it will only open to those who want to learn something important.
And what if I want to know how to make the most delicious nut cookies?
Tiko smirked. I'm afraid the bridge doesn't deal with cooking. Muram snorted, winking. But if you have serious questions, the bridge can show you something interesting.
And what if we want to know how our parents were young and passionate?
Bob smirked.
Show us how Dad was still a runner, who didn't sit still like he does now, okay?
Hey!
Capi's dad was indignant, but his voice trembled with laughter.
By the way, I can still run, well, a whole lap around the house.
Oh, we have no doubt.
Lina teased.
All right, Muram, take us to the past. Show us what our parents were like when they were young.
With each step, the bridge became brighter, and soon they found themselves in a completely different place. A dense forest surrounded them, and in the clearing in front of them sat two young capybaras. One was thin, with clumsy little paws and big ears, Papa Capi in his youth. Next to him, with a long silk scarf and a shining smile, sat Mama Barra.
Wow, this is...
Lina whispered, her eyes wide open.
Dad, is that you?
Oh, how I really was.
Papa Capi blushed.
Are you some kind of clumsy? And where are your heroic feats?
Teased Bob. But at that moment, young Capi suddenly jumped to his paws upon hearing some rustling in the bushes, and immediately slipped, falling into a pile of leaves.
Now that's a hero.
Lina snorted, but instead of laughter they saw young Capi immediately jump up, push the branches apart with his paws, and start shouting something. I will save you. I'm here. Came a voice from somewhere behind the trees, and suddenly, a young bar appeared in the frame. She picked him up, shook him off, and laughed so hard that the echo spread throughout the forest.
You will save me, right?
She said.
Well, then we are definitely doomed if even one little mosquito attacks us.
Capi's dad looked away, unable to hide his embarrassment.
Well, there you go, he whispered to his children. Now you know why Mom always laughs at my heroic nature.
But you were always there when it was needed. Lina smiled, hugging Dad by the paw. That's true heroism.
The family returned across the bridge, finding themselves back at their cozy little house. The bridge disappeared, leaving only a faint scent of oranges.
That ended quickly, sighed Tika. I wanted to know how Mom learned to bake pies.
I'm sure it's quite a story, chuckled Mom the bar. Let's save it for next time.
Everyone laughed, and at that moment it seemed the forest came to life again. The magical adventures of the capybaras were just beginning, and each new day promised new discoveries. Thus, they became a family ready to face any challenges, even if they had to overcome them on a bridge that smelled of chocolate and oranges. Capybara Chronicles. Story 3. The Magic Garden of Wishes. After traveling through the Bridge of Time and a fun encounter with the young versions of their parents, life returned to its usual course. But all the members of the Capybara family understood that each new day in their magical forest could bring another mystery or unusual event. Today was one of those days when the forest seemed to breathe magic. Papa Capi was trying to read the book that Uncle Muram had brought. Something about ancient legends, but he kept getting distracted by the antics of his children.
Dad, what a boring thing you are reading.
Lina peeked into the book over her father's shoulder once again.
Legends about old frogs. What an entertainment.
First of all, this book is about ancient artifacts, not frogs, replied Papa Capi, trying to maintain a serious demeanor. And secondly, you know that boring books are meant to be read slowly and preferably before sleep. They are great for calming down.
Well, then let Bob read it. He really needs to calm down. He attacked the pie again as if someone is chasing him.
Lynn nudged her brother, who was standing nearby with his paws behind his back, as if nothing had happened.
I study strategy, Bob replied calmly. Sometimes attack is the best defense.
Tika, the younger Capybara, heard their conversation and, without taking his eyes off his constructions made of sticks and stones, loudly added,
And sometimes pies are just delicious. It's the whole magic of it.
Mama Bear came out of the kitchen holding a tray with hot drinks.
Well, here we go again about artifacts, pies, and strategies. Maybe instead you should take a walk to the magical garden.
Magical garden. Ika, almost toppling her stick headquarters, jumped up in excitement.
Is that where all wishes come true?
Sort of. Mama Bear squinted slyly.
Just remember, wishes must be made for others. You can't ask for yourself, otherwise the magic, the garden will disappear.
What if I make a wish for someone and it accidentally becomes beneficial for me? Bob asked, looking curiously into Mama's eyes.
Well, then the garden might turn into a field of nettles, and your paws will start itching so much that you'll forget everything except the desire to scratch.
Mama Barra laughed.
Wow. No beneficial wishes. Got it.
Tika nodded, trying to look serious but ended up looking cheerful.
Got it.
We will manage.
Seriously? Added Lina.
I wish all our friends in the forest could make wishes too. I just have no idea what they need. A little...
That's where you'll find out in the garden.
Mom winked.
Let's go and help each other. Remember, fulfilling wishes is not just magic, but also responsibility.
The road to the magical garden passed through a shady alley covered with fallen flower petals. When the capybaras approached the garden gates, they noticed an ancient inscription carved in stone. Wish for a friend, and you will receive in abundance. Wish for yourself, and you will part with magic. Who is Storik? Tika whispered.
That's not a name.
Lina laughed.
It means that you will receive 100 times more good in return.
100 times more. Tika pondered. If I wish for 100 pies for Mom, will she make me 101?
No, Tika, it doesn't work that way.
Bob sighed, losing patience.
Let's just check and not ask unnecessary questions.
The gates swung open before them, and the capybaras beheld an unusual garden. Huge flowers with petals that one could slide on, like on slides. Bushes speaking in the voices of birds, and fountains spewing colorful streams that released scents of vanilla and chocolate.
It makes you want to wish for something for yourself, doesn't it?
Bob glanced at Lina, but she just shook her head.
I want our friend Hedgehog to be able to see better in the dark. Do you remember how he used to trip over roots when he came to us at night?
She touched one of the magical flowers, and it lit up with a bright blue color. Petal fluttered in the air and disappeared. The wish is granted, a soft voice said. Hedgehog can now see in the dark just as well as a sunny day.
Awesome!
Tiko exclaimed joyfully.
I want that too. Squirrel Nyura. To keep her nuts.
Tika touched another flower, and it spun around as if it burst, releasing a golden spark into the sky. Nyura will not lose a single nut anymore. The voice sounded again.
And I wish that Uncle Muram...
Bob paused for a moment.
...would no longer forget where he left his books.
Now Uncle Muram will indeed find all his books, the voice confirmed. Everything was wonderful, until Lina noticed that one flower, which they had not yet touched, suddenly faded and wilted. She frowned.
And this flower is sad for some reason.
Because you all made good, but small wishes. Suddenly, a voice came from the bush next to which the capybaras were standing. And this flower is responsible for a big important wish. He is not interested in nuts or vision. He wants you to make a wish that will change the forest. Like...
But what can we...
Wish, whispered Tika, lowering his ears. This is what it's all about. The voice of the bush became softer. You must think about the most important wish. It should be such that it makes the lives of everyone in the forest better.
It's not easy, sighed Bob. I can wish for more pies.
Then he saw Lina, nodding at him uncertainly.
But you can't feed the forest with pies?
Lina approached the flower and pondered.
I would wish that all the forest inhabitants never feared and always supported each other, because when we are united and brave, we are capable of anything.
The flower shone with a bright light, unfolding its petals. Indeed, the wish is granted. The forest will be filled with the light of friendship and support. From that moment on, every little creature in the forest felt that they were not alone, that there was always a friend nearby, ready to help. This was the great magic of the garden. When the family returned home, Tika suddenly remembered. What about the pies? I made a wish, so does that mean I won't get a single pie?
Tika with a smile began Mama Barra. For pies, you need not magic, but flour and love.
And a little dexterity, so that Bob doesn't launch his attack too soon.
Aline added, and everyone laughed. Thus, the capybaras understood that sometimes the simplest wish is not magic, but something they can do themselves, with their paws and kind hearts. And that wilted flower in the garden remained their secret, for it held another important wish of which they were not yet even aware. But that is quite another story. Subtitle editor A. Semkin, proofreader A. Egorova. Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Story 4, The Song of the Great Lake. Several days have passed since their adventure in the magical garden. The forest was filled with extraordinary energy. Animals became more sociable, and the flowers and trees were brighter and more vibrant. The capybara family felt that something had changed not only in the forest, but also within themselves. But one morning, Tika woke up with the feeling that something was calling him to the lake, hiding in the sounds of the morning forest. He tried to be quiet, but, as often happened, his attempts to sneak out of the house quietly ended with him stepping on the tail of the fluffy carpet. Ouch! Who's sneaking around like a little elephant? Dad Capi snorted loudly, instantly opening his eyes. Lina and Bob also jumped up, pulling on their hats and scarves.
Tika, oh, it's you again.
Lina yawned, looking at her brother with a laugh.
Where are you off to so early?
To the lake, Tika replied, trying to look serious. I heard a song, in the morning. It's probably just your stomach singing because you're hungry, Bob snorted, but a curious spark played on his face. Although, I also heard something like the melody of the wind or the bubbling of water. It's not just the wind, Tika insisted. I know it's calling us. Let's go.
Well, if it's calling, then let's go take a look.
Capi's dad looked curiously at Mom.
What if Tika is right and this is some important magic?
Mama Barra, wrapped in her favorite scarf, nodded with a slight smile.
Whether it's a call or not, a walk by the lake has never harmed anyone.
The road to the Great Lake was long and winding. Capi's dad kept trying to explain that a plan and a map are necessary for a confident journey. But Lina and Tika kept running off the path, chasing butterflies or trying to scare each other, pretending to see magical creatures in the bushes.
Oh, look, Lina, it's a giant wizard frog.
Tika shouted, pointing to a large rock.
What frog? Come on, Tika, that's just a rock.
Lina giggled, but suddenly froze.
Wait a minute. It has moss on it, almost in the shape of a frog's hat. Maybe it really is a magical stone.
They both laughed, and Papa Capi sighed and looked up at the sky, murmuring quietly.
I'm sure that if we stop for every frog, we'll never reach the lake.
Well, at least we'll have fun, Dad.
Lina winked at him and Bob, hiding a smile, added, That's the magic of traveling, finding something unusual where no one is looking. When they finally reached the lake, a surprise awaited them. Great Lake, which was usually calm and majestic, was shimmering with colors and melodies this time. The water seemed to sing. Every splash, every ripple on the water turned into musical notes.
This is not just a lake.
Lina whispered.
It is live.
As soon as the capybaras approached closer, a light, transparent figure rose from the water. Her outlines changed, as if she was made of music itself. Creature smiled at them and spoke softly. Hello, brave family of capybaras. You have come to hear the song of the Great Lake. A song. Papa Capi was surprised.
We came simply because our little one heard the call. Is it you who called him?
Oh. The creature shook its head. The lake itself calls those who carry light and sincere wishes in their hearts. Every 100 years, I awaken to remind the forest that its magic is alive. New Year. Magic. Weakens if it is not fueled by sincere wishes and courage. What can we do? Tika asked. I can sing. It's true. Everyone in the house says I have a voice like a crow, but I will sing anyway.
Better let Bob come up with something, Lina winked. He is our strategist, even when it comes to songs.
Well, maybe we should listen to some songs and find out what the problem is, Bob remarked, scratching his chin. And then we'll decide how to help. You have already helped. The creature smiled. Them. After all, your friendship and the strength of your wishes help the forest. But if you indeed want the song of the lake to truly spread far beyond its borders, you must give it a piece of your magic. But we don't have magic. Papa Capi trembled. Mistaken. The creature whispered gently. Everyone has their own magic. The magic of laughter. The magic of words. The magic of kindness. I can definitely already feel it truly in you. If each of you gives your most sincere and absolutely heartfelt wish, the lake will shine. The family gathered by the shore of the lake, and each of them thought about something important. Mama Barra smiled and whispered,
I remember our first family hike. We were all so excited that got lost in the forest. And you know, it was one of the happiest days of my life because we laughed and sang songs until we found the way.
The melody of the lake became quieter, softer, as if it had heard her memories. And I remember finding Uncle's old hat, said Bob, blushing slightly. I thought back then that if I wore it, I would become smart and wise like him. And although the hat turned out to be too big, I realized that wisdom comes not from hats, but from what is inside us. The water of the lake shone brighter.
And remember...
Lina froze for a moment.
I remember how my mom and I looked at the stars. He said that each star is a wish that comes true if it comes from a pure heart.
Tiko also gathered his courage. And I remember how my dad taught me to swim. And I kept choking. But you didn't leave me and didn't laugh. You helped me again and again. The magic of memories fills the lake, Tika said. The figure. This is strength. The lake shone, and the song spread far, filling the forest with light. When the capybaras were returning home, Tika joyfully hopped, trying to hum the melody he heard. Wow, I can still sing, he shouted, making everyone laugh. Even the crows in the forest will fall silent with you, Bob joked, but then added, actually, that was cool, Tika. You heard everything and brought us all here. You can consider yourself a true musical capybara. Musical capybara! Tika joyfully repeated, fluffing his tail. From this day on, call me that. Lina suddenly stopped and said thoughtfully,
And what do you think, if one day we have not only songs and wishes, but also real difficulties? Will we manage?
Papa Capi looked at everyone and slowly nodded. Of course, Lina, because we have our family and our magic of friendship. What else do we need to overcome any difficulties?
But for a moment, a shadow of doubt flickered in his eyes. Perhaps because he also felt something ahead, something that might require more from them than just songs and wishes. Thus, the song of the Great Lake remained with them, but the capybaras knew that many trials lay ahead, and their friendship and magic must grow stronger. Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Story 5, The Mysterious Cloud Workshop. Several days have passed since the Capybara family restored the magic to the Great Lake, and the song spread throughout the forest. Every inhabitant felt its influence. The animals became friendlier, nature around seemed brighter, and even the most capricious bushes behaved more gently. But something changed within the capybaras themselves. They felt it, but could not say exactly what it was. It was at that moment during the family council that Papa Capi announced important news.
Family,
he began solemnly.
It is time to embark on a journey again.
Tika joyfully shouted, jumping in place.
And where are we going? To the Caves of Light, or perhaps for blue moonstones?
Calm down, Tika.
Bob smiled.
Judging by Dad's look, it will be something, how should I put it, intellectual?
Ah, yes. Dad Capi adjusted his glasses. We are setting off in search of the Cloud Workshop.
The Cloud Workshop.
Lina was surprised.
Is this indeed the very place you read about in Uncle Muram's book? Isn't it just a legend?
Many believe so. Dad Capi nodded seriously. But I found an old map in a book, and it indicates that the workshop is not too far away. The very top of the mountain. Morning Star.
Why do we need to go there?
Bob frowned. We can't control the clouds. But you saw how the magic of the forest weakened. Dad Capi looked around at the family. First, we restored the power of the magical garden. Then we supported the song of the Great Lake. And now I feel that it's the clouds' turn. They are also part of the magic of the forest. And we need to make sure that they are okay.
And he laughed.
I hope that there we will be able to find answers to the questions that have started to arise for us.
Are these answers to your questions about the book or to ours?
Lina clarified, winking.
Both.
Capi's dad smiled.
But the answers may be more important than we think.
The ascent to the mountain peak turned out to be not so simple. The path twisted between the trees, steeply rising upwards, and each step was difficult. Tika, despite his usual energy, kept stopping and asking everyone to wait.
Wow, what a steep mountain!
He panted.
Dad, maybe next time we can find a workshop that is down at the foot. I would be happy with a workshop for bushes, for example. And at the same time, we will set up a workshop for your favorite pies.
Bob was being sly, but there was a sparkle of joy in his eyes.
The mountain is a great place for real heroes. Pies fell from the sky, I would definitely become a hero.
Tika replied seriously, causing laughter from the whole family. When they reached the top, their laughter stopped. Before them lay something truly amazing. A huge space, as if carved straight from the clouds. The walls of the workshop softly glowed, and around them slowly floated small, cloud-like figures, flowers, animals, even birds made of clouds and soft light. Wow, whispered Lina. So it really exists. Impressive, right? Dad Capi turned to the family.
This is the workshop of clouds. Here, according to legends, all the clouds and the shapes that we see in the sky are created.
But instead of meeting someone in the workshop, they found only scattered tools and empty, motionless clouds.
It seems that no one has been here for a long time.
Bob frowned, examining the old books and drawings on the table.
Maybe everyone went on vacation?
Tika suggested. But even he couldn't help but have a thoughtful expression on his face. Suddenly, one of the clouds gently stirred and rose into the air. It began to change shape, taking on the outline of a small creature with wings. It has whizzed by. Voice was quiet, like the whisper of the wind.
Did you come to save the workshop? Save?
Lina asked again.
What happened? The magic of the clouds is disappearing?
The creature answered quietly.
A workshop without magic? Perfect cloud. How is that? Papa Capi looked at the family. As far as we know, we don't know what happened, but there is a mysterious legend. Only those who can conjure up a perfect cloud can restore the magic.
How is that?
Papa Capi looked at the family.
This cloud, like from a legend, reflects the deepest desire of the heart, the creature explained. But it can only be created by the whole family, combining all your desires and thoughts.
Well, it doesn't sound that difficult, Tika noted. I already have an idea. Cloud in the shape of a pie.
Nope, Tika, not a pie.
Lina laughed.
It should be something that truly reflects our common desire.
She pondered and added,
What if it is perhaps a cloud in the shape of a heart?
But that's too simple, Bob objected. How about a cloud in the shape of our house? Or paws symbolizing our strength, suggested Papa Capi.
Why not combine all our ideas together? Suddenly Mama Barra said, a cloud that will reflect not only the shape but also our shared aspirations.
The family stood in a circle, holding paws, and began to envision their images. A little cloud creature hovered above them, watching as thin rays of light emanated from their paws, connecting in the center. Gradually, a cloud began to form before them. At first, it was a simple shape, but then it started to change its contours, absorbing their desires and thoughts. It took the shape of a house, but its roof was in the shape of a heart, and next to it were paws connected together. This is our ideal cloud, Tika exclaimed joyfully. It looks like us! The cloud softly glowed, and a wave of warmth spread around the workshop. The stationary cloud shapes began to move, changing their outlines and filling with new colors.
The magic has returned, the creature whispered. Thank you, brave capybaras. Now the clouds will dance in the sky again, and forest will receive the magic it has been missing.
On the way back, looking at the whimsical clouds floating above, Papa Capi stopped and looked back at his family.
You know, he said thoughtfully, every time we help the forest, I start to understand that our strength is not just in magic, it's in ourselves. And in pies, Tika added. Everyone laughed.
Pies are also part of the magic. But you know, Tika, if magic depended only on pies, our forest would be safe forever.
But deep down, Papa Capi was still thinking, what is really happening to the forest? Why is the magic fading away? And will there be forces that want to seize this magic for themselves? Perhaps this is not just a temporary phenomenon, but the beginning of something greater. Thus ended their story in the cloud workshop. Something greater awaited ahead, creeping up on the forest, ready to change everything forever.
Capybara Chronicles Forest Adventures. Story 6, Dance of Invisible Lights. The Capybara family was returning home after an adventure in the cloud workshop. Throughout the journey, they discussed how magic had once again filled the forest, how the clouds in the sky had regained their whimsical shapes, and even how they themselves seemed to have changed after everything they had experienced. But as soon as they returned to their cozy little house on the hill, Papa Capi felt a strange unease. He felt that the forest was breathing differently, as if it had quieted down, like before a storm, and soon his premonitions were confirmed when Uncle Muram appeared on the porch of the house. "Something is troubling the forest," began the old owl, shaking the dewdrops from his wings. "We decided that you should know."
Troubling?
Mama Barra frowned.
But we restored the magic of the enchanted garden, the great lake, and the workshop of clouds. What else could happen?
"The magic has returned, but not all of it." Uncle Muram frowned. "There is a place you have not yet been. A place that has long been associated with great changes in the forest, and every time the magic weakens, this place comes to life." "Are you talking about the dance of the invisible lights?" asked Bob, recalling old tales. "Exactly," nodded the owl. "In the cave of radiance, invisible lights gather, dancing every 100 years. This dance is not just a beautiful sight. It shows that the forest has encountered something greater, or that something big is about to happen. This time the dance will begin earlier, and that is not a good sign." Lina shuddered but tried to remain calm.
But what can we do?
"Find the source of the weakness," Muram said firmly, "and eliminate it before the dance is over. If you don't do this, the magic of the forest may disappear forever." This time, the path was not as joyful as before. The capybaras felt the tension in the air, and even Tika, usually restless and talkative, walked quietly, pressing his ears to his head. I thought everything was fine. He finally whispered, "We fixed everything. Why is the magic leaving again?"
Sometimes fixing one thing doesn't solve the whole problem, Lina replied gently. Maybe it's like in a game with dice. If one piece is placed incorrectly, the whole tower collapses.
So did we miss something? Bob pondered. Well, I think we'll find out when we get to the fires, said Papa Capi, trying to give his voice confidence.
And it doesn't matter what awaits us. Main thing is, we are together.
The Cave of Radiance was located deep in the heart of the forest, behind a high hill covered with thick moss. The entrance to the cave glowed with a dim blue light, and as they approached, a faint breeze filled with whispers rushed out. Are they talking? Tika asked with a slightly trembling voice. Yes. Muram nodded. The lights always whisper before their dance. They speak of the past, present, and future. And if you listen closely, you can understand what they want to say. When the Capybara family entered the cave, their eyes were opened to a truly magical sight. The cave walls shimmered with a soft light, and in the air, like stars, invisible lights swirled. They danced, creating intricate patterns, and for a moment it seemed that the cave walls themselves came to life. Whispered Lina. They are showing us the way, said Bob, watching the movement of the lights closely. But where? Suddenly, one of the lights separated from the collective dance and gently touched Tika. The little one flinched but did not pull away. Light did not burn him. Instead, it filled him with warmth and light. A light cloud swirled around him, and a vision appeared before his eyes. I see! Exclaimed Tika. I see where the magic of the forest is depleting. Where? The family asked in unison. It is deep under the roots, where the old oak is. No, not just an oak. Tika hesitated. There is something that is draining the power of the earth, and it is getting ready to awaken. Papa Capi suddenly turned to Uncle Muram. Is this what you were talking about? Yes and no, Muram replied slowly. I knew there was a weak spot, but I didn't know it was so deep. If it awakens, the magic of the forest will become uncontrollable. We must stop this. How? Asked Mama Bear, clenching her paws into fists. You need to go to the heart of the forest and meet with someone who knows its secrets, Muram replied. But be careful. If the ancient power is awakened the wrong way, there could be consequences. Terrible. The Capybara family, following the lights, ventured deeper into the cave. They passed through many tunnels until they finally found themselves in a large hall. In the center of the hall, surrounded by lights, stood something like a huge stone, overgrown with roots and vines. Is this the source? Bob whispered. No, this is a barrier, said Muram, appearing behind them. A barrier that holds back an ancient power, but someone or something is breaking it.
We must restore it, Lina asked.
No, we must unleash the power of the barrier so that it becomes part of the magic of the forest, said Capi's father. It won't be easy, but we have no choice.
The family stood in a circle and holding each other's paws focused. Each of them recalled everything they had seen and experienced in previous adventures. The song of the great lake, the magic of the clouds, and the enchantment of the great garden. We want to protect our forest, Lina whispered. We want the magic to live, Tika added, and for the power of the forest to become stronger than ever, Bob said firmly. For a moment, the cave burst into dazzling light. The lights swirled around the barrier, and a rumble sounded like the breath of the earth. The barrier shone, and the roots around it lit up, filled with power. Did we do it? Asked Tika as the light began to fade. Yes, you restored the balance, Muram whispered quietly. But this is not the end indeed. What tried to break the barrier is still here. It will still patiently wait for its chance to return, and it awaits.
We won't give it that chance, said Mama Barra. We will protect the forest.
For that, you need to learn more about ancient magic, said Muram. You have a few new challenges ahead. Now you are ready. The Capybara family left the cave with a sense of duty fulfilled. Each of them understood that something big and dangerous awaited ahead. Only by working together could they face this threat.
Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Story 7. A Magical Christmas in the Forest. Some time has passed since the Capybara family restored the magical barrier in the Cave of Radiance. The forest came to life again, and it seemed that everything had returned to its place. It was not just an ordinary time of year. Winter was approaching, along with it the time of the most magical holiday in the forest. Christmas. The Christmas celebration in the forest was special. At this time, every tree was adorned with glowing snowflakes, and the air was filled with the scents of pine, spicy berries, and something sweet, as if all the branches around were covered with an invisible sugar glaze. The snow gently lay on the ground, shimmering in the light of the moon, and the magical lanterns that each forest inhabitant hung on the branches. This time, as soon as the snow first touched the ground, the Capybara family felt something unusual in the air, as if the very magic of the forest had decided to take part in their celebration. In their cozy little house, the smell of fresh pies filled the air, and the fireplace crackled, radiating gentle warmth. "Well, children," said Papa Capi, pouring hot chocolate into cups.
It was time to share plans for Christmas. This year, I think we should do something special.
We will decorate Christmas tree!
Tika exclaimed joyfully, climbing into the armchair with her legs.
Or maybe we could make snow figures?
"And that too," nodded Mama Barra.
But remember, this year our forest has gone through many difficulties, and although we managed to restore the magic, there are still many friends who may need help. And Christmas is not just about gifts and treats, but also about help and support.
Exactly!
Lina clapped her paws.
I heard that the Squirrel Nyura doesn't have a Christmas star on her tree because the old one was blown away by the wind. Maybe we can make a new one.
And the Hedgehog also complained that his light on the tree goes out every time because it's hard for him to reach the top. Bob added, I could help him set up a lantern. And let's throw a Christmas party for everyone in the forest.
Tika suggested.
With lights, with songs and magic, after all, we are real capybara helpers.
Sounds wonderful, smiled Papa Capi. But what if this year we make the celebration even more magical?
How? Is that...
Curiously asked Lina. "We have one small but special thing," said Papa Capi mysteriously, pulling out a crystal glowing with a soft blue light from his old chest.
What is that?
Tika reached out a paw to touch.
This is a festive crystal, explained Papa Capi. It grants one wish every Christmas, but it's important to remember that the wish must concern everyone, not just one being.
So, we can make it so that everyone in the forest feels the joy and warmth of Christmas.
Whispered Lina tenderly, looking at the crystal.
Exactly,
nodded Papa.
But for that, we need to understand what each inhabitant of the forest truly wants for this holiday.
So a new adventure begins.
God smiled and put on his hat.
It looks like we are going on a Christmas mission.
The Capybara family ventured out into the fresh air. They were surrounded by thick snowdrifts and sparkling icicles shimmering in the light of the lanterns. The forest was full of silence and anticipation, as if nature itself had frozen in expectation of a miracle.
We should split up to find out what our friends dream about, suggested Papa Capi. This way, we will understand better how to use the holiday crystal.
Lina and Tika headed towards the home of the Squirrel Nyura. There they saw her bustling around a small Christmas tree decorated with nuts and berries. But the top of the tree was empty, and Nyura looked sad.
Nyura, you look a bit sad, Lina noticed.
Did something happen?
I really wanted my Christmas tree to shine,
sighed the Squirrel Nyura.
But the wind carried away my star, and I couldn't make a new one. Now my Christmas tree won't shine like everyone else's.
Lina hugged Nyura.
Don't worry, Tika and I will come up with something.
Meanwhile, Bob and Papa Capi visited the Hedgehog, who was trying once again to place a light on the tree while standing on a long branch.
Oh, it seems I will never reach the top.
The Hedgehog muttered sadly, looking at the unfortunate little tree. Let me help, offered Papa Capi. gently lifting the hedgehog with his paws. The hedgehog beamed when he finally managed to secure the light, but the light quickly went out, and Hedgehog lowered his head again.
It won't stay. Magic is fading.
Papa Capi frowned, but Bob, not losing his optimism, ran up.
Don't worry, this year your light will shine brighter than all.
When the family gathered again at the house, they shared with each other what they had learned. All the forest inhabitants wanted only one thing: that no one felt lonely during this holiday, and everyone could share joy with each other. Papa Capi realized that their wish should be just that. The family stood in a circle around the festive crystal, holding it in the center, and made their wish.
We want every forest inhabitant to feel the joy and warmth of Christmas, to see the light and feel that they are not alone.
The crystal burst into bright light. Its glow began to spread, turning into hundreds of tiny stars scattered throughout the forest. Each star found its place. A new shining star appeared on the Christmas tree of the Squirrel Nyura. The little light on the hedgehog's tree lit up and did not go out. Even the smallest creatures living in the darkest corners of the forest lit up with lights and lanterns. The forest was filled with laughter and joy. All the animals came out of their homes to sing a Christmas song together and enjoy the light and warmth. Even the old owl Muram, always so serious, joined the common choir, quietly humming his melody.
In the beautiful snowy forest where the stars shine, we all gathered, friends and family. The warm and cozy light of the campfire blends with the lights, and my Christmas is filled.
Subtitles created by Dima Torzak. Oh, 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 the bright path of the night. Christmas flies to us from afar. Oh, 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 the peaceful and serene light of the flickering candle, the mesmerizing dance of the twinkling stars slowly fades into the vast cloud. The snow lies softly, gently and quietly, like an ethereal spirit, revealing in the shadow, heavy mind in the quiet night. A quiet bell softly rings, the gentle voice of the wind's noise, and Christmas gifts a bright, serene dream without gloom, and merry, cheerful, and joyful. No matter where you find yourself in this world, we humbly ask for your miraculous blessings to be bestowed upon us. The stars are the path that leads us. Each little light, like someone's gentle dream. The snow falls softly and quietly, like fluffy fluff, hiding the earth from the golden Logan. In a quiet, slow manner, the voice of the wind's noise softly echoes, and Christmas gifts a bright, gentle sound. The forest with its vast expanse burns with lights and silence. Each light a flickering beacon of warmth and essence of my soul. Each light, after wandering, finds its home in the forest, embraced by its welcoming nature. Christmas gives dreams and hopes. Let all our poems and aspirations be remembered in our hearts and souls forever. La 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 la.
Capybara Chronicles in the Forest Adventures. Story 8. The Mystery of the Moon Meadow. Winter was slowly retreating, leaving behind only a thin layer of snow on the roots of the trees and sparkling ice crystals in the sunlight. The forest was once again filled with sounds, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the cracking of thin branches under the paws of the animals. The Capybara family found themselves at the center of events again, although this time their goal was not a magical adventure at all. They were about to learn more about a mysterious ancient place, the Moon Meadow, where, according to legends, something strange and mysterious happened during every full moon. Papa Capi was carefully examining the old map they had received from Uncle Murama. They had to learn more about the mysterious ancient place, the Moon Glade, where, according to legend, something strange and mysterious happened every full moon. Papa Capi was carefully examining the old map they had received from Uncle Murama. The edges of the map were adorned with symbols and mysterious patterns, while in the center stood out the inscription, "The Mystery of the Moon Meadow. Open it, and you will find the way to the ancient powers of the forest," he said thoughtfully.
In every legend I've read, it says that this place holds the key to the magic of the forest. But what exactly is hidden there? One knows.
Oh, I know.
Tika exclaimed, jumping in place.
There are huge flowers that glow at night like lanterns. Or maybe it's the stars falling from the sky right onto the flowers. I don't think stars can fall on flowers, Tika.
Bob teased his little brother, smiling.
But who knows? In this forest, everything seems possible.
And I heard that invisible spirits appear in the moon meadow, and they can lift you into the air.
Lina spoke in a whisper, as if her words could awaken the spirits themselves.
They indeed help those who can solve their riddles.
So we need to solve the riddle to understand what kind of magic is hidden there. Papa Capi nodded. And I suspect that this is somehow connected to the clues we received in the previous places. At the Great Lake, in the Cloud Workshop, and in the Cave of Gleams.
I wonder, how can the snowflakes from the Christmas forest help us?
Mama Barra said thoughtfully, recalling recent events.
Maybe their glow will show us the way.
Let's check.
Papa Capi carefully rolled up the map and put it in his backpack.
It's time to unravel the mystery of the Moon Meadow.
The path to the meadow was long and winding. The forest around them was becoming denser and darker, and the trees seemed to lean closer, hiding their secrets behind every bend in the path.
I have a feeling that someone is just watching us.
Tika whispered quietly, pressing his ears down.
Maybe it's the spirits, or just a squirrel looking for a nut.
Bob winked at him, but just to be safe, he looked around, and suddenly they heard a strange sound. Rustling, a faint creak. It was as if someone was slowly making their way through the bushes. Now that's definitely not a squirrel, Papa Capi frowned, slowing his steps. Everyone froze. Silence hung over the forest, and then a figure emerged from behind the trees. Uncle Muram. There you are, my brave explorers. The owl gently landed on the nearest branch. I knew you absolutely couldn't resist and would head to the moonlit meadow.
You were watching us? Lina asked her uncle.
Lina asked in surprise, studying her uncle. You were watching us? No. Muram flapped his wings. I was just keeping an eye on you. Do you understand? This place will be filled with magic, but also dangers. And I can't let my beloved capybaras get into trouble.
Well, since you're here, Uncle, Papa Capi nodded, you can help us. We're looking for a way to unravel the mystery of the Moon Meadow and understand what's connected to the forest's burial mounds.
Oh, that's easy.
Murama closed his eyes and took a breath.
You need to understand 3 things. What does the light of the moonstone mean? What words awaken the ancient powers? And what connects the Moon Meadow to the Cave of Radiance? That doesn't sound so simple, Bob frowned.
And where are we supposed to find all this?
Lina asked. First, you need to wait for the full moon, Murama said, looking around. On this night, 3 glowing stones will appear in the meadow. Each stone is indeed a key to one of the truly fascinating mysteries. But be careful, because they don't always tell the truth. Talking stones. Tiko's eyes went wide open.
Wow. Yes, just as stubborn as one little capybara who doesn't like to go to sleep on time.
With a smile, Mama Barra noticed, stroking Tika's head.
All right, I got it.
Tika blushed, but his eyes sparkled with anticipation. Night fell. The full moon brightly illuminated the moon meadow, bathing it in a soft bluish light. In the center of the meadow, 3 glowing stones appeared, each radiating its own light. One is golden, the other is greenish, and the third is a cold silver.
Well, let's try to unravel their mysteries, whispered Papa Capi.
They approached the first stone. It shimmered with a golden light and quietly whispered,
I'll tell you about what lies beneath the earth if you solve my riddle. Listen carefully. When I am born, everything around comes to life. When I die, the forest falls asleep. What am I? Is it the sun?
Bob hesitantly suggested. No. He shook his head in disbelief.
Ah, it's spring.
The stone glowed brighter, and to their surprise, indeed spoke.
Correct. Indeed, yes. Remember, where the roots meet, magic is reborn and flourish.
Roots! It's like the awakening of ancient roots.
Lina exclaimed.
Maybe it's connected to what we saw there.
Let's see what the others will say. Papa Capi led the family to the next stone. The greenish stone spoke.
I will tell you about the path of the winds, if you answer my question.
I fly without wings, I blow without breath.
What am I?
The wind.
Tiko said quickly, and the stone shone. That's right, little one. The stone laughed. Do you remember when the winds converge, the gates open?
It's something from the song Winds and Leaves, Bob pondered. We learned about the ancient spirits that control the winds there.
It seems that all our past adventures are connected, muttered Papa Capi.
Finally, they just approached the third silvery stone.
I will reveal the secret of the ancient and mysterious roots to you if you tell me. The smaller I become, the brighter the light shines. What, my?
Is it candle?
Be careful, suggested Alina.
That's right, the stone replied.
Remember, when the light fades in the evening, magic always awakens.
It's definitely connected to what we saw in the Cave of Radiance.
Papa Capi frowned.
But what does that mean?
When they solved all the riddles, the three stones began to glow brighter, and silhouettes of trees and roots intertwining with each other started to appear around the glade.
It's a map!
Tiko exclaimed.
Look, the roots are showing the way. Where they lead.
Alina whispered. It seems to the very heart of the forest, Muram whispered, emerging from the shadows of the trees. A place that hasn't been visited by anyone for a long time. A place where magic can be both a blessing and a destructive force. What is this place? Papa Capi stared intently at Muram, the heart of the forest. The owl frowned. That's exactly where this map leads you. The Capybara family studied the map for a long time. The intertwined roots and patterns seemed to stretch toward one exact spot. The moonlight reflected off the stones and illuminated the path on the map, leading deep into the forest.
The heart of the forest.
Lina gently squeezed Tiko's paw.
But what will we find there?
Legends say that there is the source of all the magic in the forest, Uncle Muram whispered. If it is threatened, the entire forest could lose its power forever. That's why everything is so connected, Bob nodded, recalling their previous adventures.
Every place we've been to, the Great Lake, the Cloud Workshop, the caves, the glow, all of it was just preparation.
So, our trials are just beginning, Papa Capi said thoughtfully. But now we know more, and most importantly, we are together.
And I really like being part of something so big and important.
Tiko jumped up cheerfully.
Like a hero from the legends you've read, Dad.
Papa Capi smiled and gently ruffled the top of Tiko's head.
That's right, little one. Just remember, real heroes don't seek glory. They protect those who are dear to their hearts.
Everyone fell silent, gazing at the glowing map. Each of them understood that something greater than they could imagine awaited them ahead. But despite the dangers, the capybaras won't back down, because the entire forest and its magic depended on their determination and loyalty to each other.
It's time for us to head back home and get ready, said Papa Capi. But it seems like we now have all the keys to uncover the main mystery of the forest. Muram nodded and flapped his wings again. I will be watching over you, but remember, every action you take has consequences. What begins in the heart of the forest can only end in one great battle for its fate. The family slowly left the moonlit clearing, glancing back at the shining stones that seemed to gently bid them farewell. Still, Tiko turned around and smiled. The stones really do speak the truth.
You just have to know how to listen. That's right, Bob smirked. But who knew that the most stubborn capybaras could listen? Everyone laughed. Even Lina, who is always serious in her demeanor, couldn't hold back at all. The wind whispers.
In the silence it sounds.
mysterious leaves. Tell us the ancient and timeless whispering secret tales of the forest that echo and resonate through time and space and beyond.
Winds, winds, gentle and powerful, we hear you as you blow through the trees. Leaves, leaves, your graceful and elegant dance is for us. By working in unison, you collectively breathe life into the art and science of aviation, making flight possible and vibrant. Together, you and I lead our forest as a team. Oh, gentle wind and leaves whispering through the solid crown of ancient trees. Songs, songs, give us dreams, melodies, and harmonies. In the rustle, the ancient magic is heard again, ancient love.
The sun begins to rise over the horizon. The forest gradually awakens with the first gentle breath of morning air. The leaves rustle softly, and the birds begin their melodious songs, filling the air with a symphony of nature's sounds. The scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers permeates the atmosphere, inviting us to embark on a journey of exploration and discovery. Let's go and immerse ourselves in the vibrant life of the forest, where every step reveals a new wonder waiting to be uncovered.
The wind is strong, wild. Day in the heart of the earth.
Moon, moon, moon.
Subtitles created by Dima Torzak for this video.
Winds, winds, gentle and powerful, we hear you as you blow through the trees. Leaves, leaves, your dance is for us, the observers of nature's grand performance. Together you give life to flight, a flight that transcends the ordinary and reaches the extraordinary. Together you lead the physical step, a step that echoes through the ages. O wind, leaves your only songs, songs that give us dreams, dreams that inspire and uplift. In the rustle, the rain can be heard. Ancient magic, ancient love. True love is timeless.
Capybara Chronicles Forest Adventures. Story 9. The Awakening of the Ancient Roots. A week has passed since the Capybara family solved the mysteries of the Moonglade. Normalcy returned, but tension lingered. Capybaras resumed activities, yet sensed change. Papa Capi, restless, watched shadows whisper. Each family member felt something had changed in the forest. Papa Capi even started waking up more often at night, anxiously looking out the window at the distant shadows of the trees, as if they were whispering something important to him. Something's not right. One morning he mumbled, sitting at the table with a cup of herbal tea. Something is hiding underground.
Underground?
Tika jumped, pressing his paws to his chest.
Maybe it's a giant mole. He was digging himself a burrow, and now the ground is shaking.
Mole or not, I feel like this is connected to the ancient roots, said Papa Capi, looking at the map that now always lay on the table.
We saw those roots in the moon glade, and remember how the stone spoke about the roots that are found underground.
Yes, but the question is, what are they doing there?
Mama Barra replied thoughtfully, joining the conversation.
Are they preparing something? Or does someone want to awaken them?
I think it's time for us to find out, Bob said, looking seriously at his parents. Exactly, Tika jumped up.
If this is connected to the magic of the forest, then we're right in the middle of it again.
Lina sat quietly in the corner playing with a twig. Her eyes sparkled as she remembered.
The winds whispered last time about a power hidden in the roots that could destroy the entire forest. Maybe we should pay attention to this.
Dad has clapped his hands.
That's a good thought, Lina. We need to go to the place where those roots intersect. This could be the key to the mystery.
So the capybaras set off on their journey again. Their route took them through the dense thicket of the forest, where tall trees surrounded them on all sides, and the air was filled with freshness and the sense of nature. Silence reigned all around, except for the soft rustling of leaves under the paws of the capybaras.
I'm just still hoping we don't run into a giant mole, Tika joked, smiling. Although he would be a great help in digging tunnels.
Don't worry, Bob replied with a smirk.
If we meet a mole, I will try to make friends with it.
Yeah, you'll even offer him a hat, right?
Lina laughed as they walked through the forest. As they moved deeper, Papa Capi stopped by an ancient tree. The roots beneath him looked unusually large, as if they were absorbing the very energy of the forest. This is it, said Papa Capi.
Something is happening here. Look at the roots.
Beneath the ground, a soft beating could be heard, as if the heart of the forest was slowly but surely awakening.
Dad, is this something scary or just ancient?
Tika asked, listening closely to the beating. It's both. Grandma Capi frowned.
But I'm sure we've encountered this before. Remember in the Cave of Radiance, where the roots stretched towards the magical barrier? Something similar is happening here.
Bob looked around. I think we should try to figure out how these roots are connected to the magic of the forest. But how? While the Capybara family was examining the roots, Lina noticed something strange on the ground. Tracks. But not just ordinary animal tracks. They were deep, distinct paw prints. Lina leaned down and pointed at the footprints.
These footprints lead straight to the roots.
Someone has been here, and maybe recently, said Papa Capi. We need to follow these tracks.
I hope these aren't the spirits that have already tried to trick us.
Mama Barra mumbled, leaning on something. The footprints led deeper into the forest, to a large moss-covered rock. At the foot of the rock, the ground was dug up, as if someone was trying to pull something out from underneath it. They're hiding something here, Bob said, squinting.
But what?
Maybe it's some kind of magical artifact,
Tika suggested, peering into the pit. Papa Capi frowned.
I don't think it's just an artifact. It seems that someone is trying to awaken the roots and use their power. Lina looked at her father. That's what we need to find out, Papa Capi replied quietly. But I'm afraid that whoever is behind this already knows about us.
As the capybaras carefully examined the rock, the ground began to vibrate slightly. The roots, as if alive, began to move, slowly rising from the ground.
Oh no, it seems they are really awakening,
he whispered wildly. Back quickly, ordered Papa Capi, and the family stepped back a few paces. But suddenly, a familiar silhouette appeared from behind the rock. Uncle Muram, ordered Papa Capi, and the family stepped back a few paces. But suddenly, a familiar silhouette appeared from behind the rock. Uncle Muram. He looked at the capybaras with a serious expression on his face.
You are here,
he said, not surprised by their presence.
I knew that sooner or later you would discover this place. Did you know?
In unison asked the family.
Of course.
The owl nodded.
The ancient roots of the forest are awakening, but there is someone who wants to use them not to protect the forest, but to destroy it. Who is this?
Bob asked.
That's someone who was banished from the forest a long time ago, Muram replied. His name is Greyroot. He seeks to absorb the magic of the forest and use it for his own power.
But what can we do, perhaps?
Asked Mama Barra, looking at the vibrating roots.
You need to immediately and decisively stop him before he gains full power.
Muram looked at the capybaras.
And it won't be easy.
But we have the keys, Papa Capi said firmly.
The ones we found in the Great Lake, in the Cloud Workshop, and in the Moon Meadow?
Exactly. Muram nodded. These keys will help you seal the ancient roots before they destroy the magic of the forest.
Great. So we have a plan. Tiko was shining, jumping in place.
Well then...
Lina sighed, looking at her brother.
We have a tough task ahead of us. But if we manage to do this, the forest will be safe again.
Giant moles, spirits, and ancient roots. What could possibly go wrong? The god smirked. When the capybaras returned home, they understood that the threat was still ahead. The awakening of the roots was just the beginning. The awakening of the roots was just the beginning. They knew that soon they would have to face the greatest threat their forest had ever encountered. The final battle is still ahead, said Papa Capi, looking at the keys.
But now we are ready.
What if we're not ready?
Tika added with a smile.
You can always call the giant mole.
The family all laughed, but each of them knew that the real trials were certainly and undoubtedly just beginning indeed. Capybara Chronicles Forest Adventures. Story 10. The Song of the Winds and Leaves. The capybaras realized the forest was preparing after the ancient roots awoke. To grasp the connection, they went to the forest's core. But to understand how roots, wind spirits, and forest magic are connected, capybaras go to where the air currents begin, and the leaves always dance in a circle. The very heart of the forest of winds and leaves.
What if the wind lifts us up and spins us around like autumn leaves?
Tika cheerfully suggested, bouncing in place.
Great idea! Hold on to me, and if anything happens, I'll catch you.
Bob smirked as he adjusted his hat. Tika catch. Lina caught it. It's like trying to catch a soap bubble. Papa Capi smiled, but his thoughts remained focused. Upon entering the forest, the capybaras sensed the change. The gentle wind shifted, whispering mysteries. As soon as they stepped into the forest, the capybaras felt that something had changed around them. The wind was gentle, but it kept changing direction, as if whispering mysteries to them. The leaves swirled in the air, forming complex patterns and pictures. I vowed not to think about the mystical, but these leaves know something, Bob mumbled. Maybe the leaves are whispering secrets, Lina suggested. Everything here is mysterious, Papa Capi added.
Maybe the leaves are telling us secrets if we can just hear them, Lina suggested, gently touching the swirling leaf.
The Forest of Winds is not simple. Everything in this place is connected to a mystery, Papa Capi added. And if something is happening here, we need to figure it out before it's too late.
Soon they found the center of the forest, a glade surrounded by tall trees, whose branches intertwined above them, forming a green dome. The wind in the glade was especially strong, and the leaves swirled in a complex dance, creating a melodic rustle.
Look!
Tika pointed to the ground.
These leaves aren't just swirling, they're forming symbols.
Papa Capi crouched down and carefully looked at the patterns made by the leaves.
These are the symbols I saw on the maps of the ancient roots, he said thoughtfully. They are connected to the place where the roots and winds intertwine.
It seems like these leaves are trying to tell us something important, Mama Barra mumbled. At that moment, the wind picked up and the leaves began to arrange themselves into lines, like the words of an ancient song.
Winds call out gently, leaves whisper softly. Together they'll reveal where the roots grow. Whoever finds the mysterious and elusive spirit will gain the answer, and the winds will gently and slowly reveal it magically.
It's definitely a song,
Tika exclaimed joyfully.
The spirits are speaking to us, but where can we find this spirit?
Bob frowned.
The wind is blowing everywhere.
I think we just need to follow the wind, said Papa Capi. It will lead us to where the spirit of the wind is.
The capybaras ran after the flow of air, which led them deeper into the forest. The branches of the trees parted before them, and the wind grew stronger, creating a melodic whistle. Soon they found themselves in front of a huge oak tree with a hollow from which a strong gust of air was blowing.
It looks like this is the place where the spirit of the wind is hiding, Lina whispered.
Suddenly the hollow lit up, and a stream of light burst out, taking the form of a transparent spirit. It resembled a whirlwind of leaves gathered into one stream.
Welcome, travelers, the spirit said.
His voice sounded like the whisper of the wind.
I know. Why have you come?
Mom, I know. Mom, I know.
And you will have to face it. You will have to face it.
The spirit of the wind told the capybaras that the roots they saw were connected to the heart of the forest. The wind and the roots work together to maintain balance, but someone has disrupted this order. If the balance is not restored, the heart of the forest will lose its power, and the forest will be in danger.
So, all the keys we've found should help us restore this balance.
Papa Capi said thoughtfully.
But time is not small. Time is not small.
The spirit warned.
Someone is already trying to reach deep within the mysterious heart of the forest and use its powers for destruction.
You really need to hurry, quickly.
Who is it? Baba asked. That very grey root.
Again and again. It keeps getting stronger and again.
The capybaras realized that now everything depended on their determination and speed. They have to reach the heart of the forest before the grey root. The spirit of the wind gifted them a magical amulet, the amulet of the wind, which will allow them to call for the help of the winds in the toughest moments.
Well, now we have the wind on our side, Tika cheered, twirling the amulet in his paws. I hope the wind will blow in our favor, not against us, Bob smirked.
In any case, we are ready, Papa Capi said confidently.
The last chapter of our adventure remains.
As the capybaras left the forest of winds and leaves, the wind picked up a few leaves and swirled them around Tika.
I'm king of leaves, Tika shouted, jumping circles. King of leaves!
Tika shouted, jumping in circles made of leaves.
King of the leaves! Then please tell your subjects not to fall on my head.
Bob smirked, shaking a leaf off his nose. Everyone laughed, but deep down each one understood. The real battle is still ahead, and the toughest challenge awaits them. But with the winds on their side and the amulet in their paws, they are ready to face any threat. The Capybara Chronicles Forest Adventures. Story 11, The Heart of the Forest, Trials of the Fire Cave. The capybaras felt that they were approaching the climax of their long adventure. All the keys they collected in the Great Lake, the Workshop of Clouds, and the Moonglade were meant to come together at this stage. Now they stood at the entrance to the fire cave, where, according to legend, the heart of the forest lies, the source of all its magic. But it was here that the grey root hid, a mysterious force that had sought to dominate the forest and disrupt its magical balance for many generations.
So, are you ready to face our mysterious threat?
Papa Capi adjusted his backpack and looked over his family.
If it's a mole, I'm still sure I can befriend it.
Bob exclaimed, putting on his hat.
What if it's a spirit? I can suggest he dance with us.
Tika exclaimed, jumping up and down.
Tika, maybe we should ask what he wants first, and then offer a dance.
Lina winked. Mama Barra chuckled softly, but her gaze remained serious. Deep down, everyone understood that this adventure was the most important one, and their decisions would determine the fate of the entire forest. As the family entered the cave, a labyrinth of tunnels opened up before them, illuminated by flickering fire crystals. The air was warm and had a slight scent of ozone. Papa Capi unfolded the map, where magical lines glowed, indicating the way. The map leads us straight to the heart of the cave, he said. But be careful, something is hiding here.
The map takes us straight into the heart of the cave, he said. But be careful, something is hiding here.
Before he could finish, a thin root vine dropped from the cave ceiling, wrapping around Tika's paw. The root seemed alive, writhing and trying to pull him into a dark corner of the cave. Hey! The root seemed alive, writhing and trying to pull him into a dark corner of the cave.
Hey! What kind of hugs are these?
Tika exclaimed, tugging with his paw.
I only give free hugs to friends.
Bob quickly reacted, cutting the root with a sharp stone. Alina pulled Tika close to her.
I think this is the first hint about the gray root.
She said, looking around.
He already knows that we are definitely here.
Deep in the cave, right in its center, they finally saw the gray root. It was a huge old root covered in moss and thorns. It emanated dark magic that pulsed like a slowly beating heart. But suddenly, a human figure began to emerge from the root. A tall, thin spirit with silver skin and eyes filled with sadness. Who are you? Be careful, Papa Capi asked, taking a step forward.
I was the guardian, the forest's magic, the gray root said quietly. But one day I was consumed by envy. I wanted the power to belong to me alone. It lay only for me. And the forest served only me. And now I can't stop.
So, we're a friend of the forest?
Lina asked.
But you can become one again, can't you?
The gray root sadly shook his head. The capybaras understood that they had to act quickly. Each of the collected keys played an important role. The key of the Great Lake is a symbol of the unity of water and earth. It will help tame the roots, restoring their connection to nature. The key of the Cloud Workshop is an amulet that can control the currents of air. It will create a barrier so that the darkness doesn't spread to other parts of the forest. The light of the moon. Glade is a source of magical light that will weaken the darkness of the gray root and reveal its true face. The wind amulet is a gift from the spirit of wind that will bring help in the most difficult moment and speed up the process of forest restoration.
If all the keys work together, we can either heal the gray root or banish it, Papa Capi concluded. But we need to be ready for anything.
To activate all the keys, the capybaras had to go through the trials of the cave. They had to reach the heart of the forest, a huge crystal at the center of the cave that was connected to the magic of the entire forest. The roots came to life and tried to stop them, but thanks to the wind amulet and the gift of the moon glade, the capybaras overcame all obstacles.
It's almost like playing hide and seek with the roots.
Tika laughed, dodging another vine.
I'm just better at this.
When they reached the crystal, all the keys began to glow, combining their powers. The magical light spread through the cave, illuminating the gray root. He began to change. His figure became transparent and light, like the wind.
You did it, he whispered. I can feel the darkness fading away. Enough. Thank you.
When the gray root weakened, the capybaras faced a choice: to use the keys to fully heal him and make him a friend, or to banish him forever so he could no longer threaten the forest.
He deserves a second chance, Lina said quietly.
I agree, Bob nodded.
Everyone can make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them. Then we will heal him, decided Papa Capi. The forest grows stronger when we unite.
The capybaras directed the light of the keys at the gray root, and he completely transformed. His dark magic disappeared, and he became the spirit of light, just like he once was long ago. Thank you, he said, smiling. His dark magic disappeared, and he became a spirit of light, just like he had been long ago. Thank you, he said, smiling.
Now I will once more serve the forest, to protect, nurture, and cherish it, ensuring its safety again.
After the gray root was healed, the capybaras felt that the forest had grown stronger, but they also knew that their adventure was not over yet. We took an important step, said Papa Capi, looking at his family.
Now we know how to use the keys. Ahead lies the final battle for the forest.
And if we have to fight, Tika smiled, I'm ready to dance until last leaf.
Everyone laughed, but there was a glow of confidence in their eyes. They were ready to face whatever the future would bring them together as a family. The Capybara Chronicles, Forest Adventures, Story 12, The Great Alliance, The Final Battle. For the Forest. The forest stood still in anxious anticipation. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon. After healing the gray root, peace returned to the forest. But this was just the calm before the storm. The heart of the forest, the ancient spring of life, was still under threat. But this is just the calm before the storm. The heart of the forest, the ancient magical spring that holds life and balance, was still under threat. Someone or something was preparing to attack the forest with renewed strength, and this time it was about its complete destruction. The Capybara family had gathered all the keys found in their previous adventures. Someone or something was getting ready to attack the forest with renewed strength, and this time it was about its complete destruction. The Capybara family gathered all the keys they had found in their past adventures. The key to the Great Lake, the key to the Cloud Workshop, the light of the moon glade, and the amulet of wind. These artifacts were their only hope in the upcoming battle. Well then, said Papa Capi, looking at his family, it's going to be tough, but we're ready. If we lose, we'll do it with jokes and dancing, Tika added cheerfully, bringing smiles even to serious Lina. Just remember, don't dance with the enemies, Bob smirked. They might not appreciate your talents. When darkness descended upon the forest, everything came to life. The roots, under the power of the enemy, began to rise from the ground, wrapping around the trees and reaching for the heart of the forest. From the shadows emerged evil spirits, ready to consume all living things. The capybaras found themselves at the center of the battle. They stood in a circle around the heart of the forest, using the keys to halt the advance. The key to the Great Lake, shouted Papa Capi, activating the artifact. Waves of water surged across the land, extinguishing the fire and calming the hostile roots.
The key to the Cloud Workshop, Bob commanded enthusiastically.
Clouds burst from the amulets, blocking the enemies and hindering their advance. The light of the moon glade. Lina raised the glowing stone, and its radiance dispelled the darkness, revealing the hidden enemies. Now it's my turn, Tika exclaimed, raising the amulet of wind. The wind lifted the capybaras and their friends, carrying them into the air and away from the attacking roots. But despite all their efforts, the enemy was too strong. One of the spirits of darkness rushed toward the heart of the forest. Mama Barra, seeing this, rushed forward to protect the crystal and ended up getting caught by the enemy. No! Tika and Bob shouted simultaneously. But it was too late. Mama Barra disappeared into the embrace of darkness, and a terrible silence fell around. This loss hit the Capybara family like a thunderclap. But they knew they had to keep going. For Mama Barra, for the forest, for everyone who lives in it. Papa Capi clutched the artifacts tighter. He was to finish what they had started.
We must unite all the keys, shouted. Only together will they reveal the true power of the forest. All the capybaras joined paws,
creating a circle around the heart of the forest. The keys began to glow, and their magic intertwined, creating a radiant shield that surrounded the entire forest. The darkness tried to break through, but the light and magic were too strong. The winds grew stronger. The water surged in a stream, and the light of the moonglade filled every corner of the forest. When the darkness retreated, the heart of the forest shone even brighter. At that moment, a figure appeared in his light, Mama Barra. She emerged from the glowing circle, whole and unharmed. The darkness couldn't consume her because her heart was filled with love and faith in her family. Mother, Tika exclaimed. Throwing themselves at her, the family embraced once more, and at that moment, the heart of the forest completed its work. The forest became even stronger than before. The enemies were defeated, and the forest finally found peace. The capybaras watched the rising sun, realizing that their adventure had now come to an end.
Well then, now we can finally relax, smiled Papa Capybara.
Or throw a festive dance, Tika suggested, prompting a collective laugh. Witnesses. Lina supported him, spinning her brother around. Bob just smiled, adjusting his hat.